Hey everyone, today's tutorial is going to go over that base boss basic extrude for your lecture work assignment. So let's get started. Now you're going to want to constantly go back and forth and review that drawing that we are going to be creating. So I have it right here shown. So we're going to look at the front view to get our major widths and heights for our features. We're going to use the side view for those depths, as well as the top view. Please note that this 0.25 is in parentheses. That's because it's just a reference dimension. We already know that that thickness would be 0.25 by looking at the side view. Also keep in mind the notes that are listed on this drawing. So every boss extrude is centered on our model. The top holes are concentric with those filleted edges. So that means before we can add in that relationship, that concentric relationship between the two edges, we're going to have to create those fillets first. Now you can see that our radius is given to us here as 2x, radius of 0.50. That's just showing that because this is a symmetric part, each of those fillets on both sides are going to have the same radius. Same with the diameter listed over here. It's just a little shorthand. So let's get started by creating a new part file. Now this part is going to be built in inches. So the first thing we want to do is double check that bottom status bar. Make sure that we are in inches. So IPS. And we're going to create our first base feature on the front plane. So we're going to select that front plane. Bring it normal to you so we can create that perpendicular sketch. And I'm just going to start with the back base feature. So it's just a basic rectangle. Make sure that when you select that rectangle icon, your first point that you're going to sketch down is attached to your origin. So click your origin and bring your rectangle out. This is giving us that attachment in space. So we are referencing our coordinate system. You can see by that lower triad down at the bottom left corner. I'm going to use my Smart Dimension icon and dimension this bottom line segment first. The width here is 5 inches. My height is given to me in that front view as 2 inches. Now that this sketch is fully defined, I can add the feature. Make sure that your sketches are always all black and fully defined before you add in any features. So I'm going to select my Features tab, come up to my Extruded Boss/Base feature. And my depth here, because I don't care which direction we're extruding along the z-axis, because I have no other material in front or behind this model, I'm just going to leave that direction 1 as blind, and the depth is going to be 0.25. And then hit that green check mark or enter. Now, instead of adding in a new plane, I am just going to sketch directly on the face of this part because it is already referenced with that front plane from its original sketch. So I'm going to select the front face of this part, bring it normal to me, come up and select my Sketch tab, and again I'm going to do another rectangle. I'm going to start with the bottom extrude. So I want to make sure my first point that I click down is connected to this bottom edge of this base feature. This is just going to save me time at adding in relationships. Once you place down your rectangle, hit your Smart Dimension tool again. This bottom length is given to us as 4. The height is given to us as 0.75. Now, you can see that this sketch is not fully defined. I can't make it change size, but I can slide it on and off of my first base feature. This is because I need to give it that placement, and that is where we're going to add in a relationship. So for this step, it's easier if we slide our new sketch off of our base feature, just so we can find our midpoints a little easier. So to do this, you can select either the top or the bottom edge of this model, right click, and hit that select midpoint. Then hold your control key down and hover your mouse over the top edge of your new sketch until you see that midpoint, and you'll see that little icon as a blue circle with a line through it showing you've hit the midpoint, and click it down. Now double check that your selected entities, there are only 2 points selected. If you have a line here because it selected that edge and the midpoint, just click on that line and hit delete. We only want the 2 points selected, and we're going to add in a vertical relationship because the note for the sketch said everything was centered. So that is just allowing us to center that part. You can see adding in that vertical relationship has now fully defined my second sketch. So now I'm going to go to my Features tab, go to that extruded boss/base icon again, and the depth for this rectangular feature is 1.25. Now, I do care about the direction since I do want it coming forward in the positive Z axis. So I can hold the roller of my mouse down and rotate my part just to double check that I am coming out at the right direction. And hit OK. Now, remember, you can hit these flyout arrows for these extrudes and edit the sketch at any time. So if for some reason I accidentally sketched on the back face, you can either reverse your extrude or change the sketch plane. By doing that, you just click on your sketch. Instead of Edit Sketch like we're used to seeing, you select the Edit Sketch plane. Here, you can now click that front face again or any plane you want and change where that sketch is located. I'm just going to leave it since it's coming out in the right direction. So I'm going to create my third boss extrude before I go and create any cuts. So once again, I want to select that front face because that's where I am going to create the first sketch for my third boss extrude. Remember, you can select the face or a plane before you create your sketch. Bring it normal to you. Then go to your Sketch tab. Go ahead and open up that rectangle sketch again. Now, to save myself time, I want to make sure that I am connected to my second boss feature. So my first point down is going to be on that top edge of that second extrude. And then I'm just going to bring it up to the top edge of my base feature, that first extrude, to place it down. You can see as I did that this automatic relationship of coincident popped up on that top edge, meaning I'm connected to the top edge, as well as the bottom edge. This just allows me to not have to put in those relationships. It also allows me to not have to dimension the height because it's called out. Our height can only be between these 2 points. Without a dimension, it can get wider, but it can never get taller. I'm going to go up to my Smart Dimension icon, and I'm going to dimension that width. This is given to us at 2 inches. And then I'm going to hit OK. And just like before, I'm going to slide that sketch off of my model. I'm going to right click on this top edge, hit the select midpoint, hold my control key down, hover my mouse on the top edge of my new sketch until I hit that midpoint, select it. As you can see, the line and both points selected on this move. So I'm just going to select line 3 and hit delete. Make sure you only have the 2 points listed. And I'm going to add in that vertical relationship again, and then hit OK. Double check that your sketch is now fully defined again before you add in a feature. I'm going to go up to my toolbar, my Features tab, and select that extruded boss/base again. I am going to hold the roller of my mouse down and rotate it so I can make sure that depth is going in the correct direction. And the depth for this top extrude is 0.75. Another thing to pay attention to is when you're building all three of these extrudes, make sure that you have the merge result selected. That just allows this to look like one piece. If it's not selected, you're going to see a double line where that sketch is meeting the face of that feature. This will cause a lot of issues when we go to create technical drawings. Hit OK. And now you can see on the Feature Tree Manager, I have 3 boss extrudes. So remember, each feature has to have its own sketch. So now I'm going to create my first cut, and it's going to be this bottom rectangle that's going to be cut. So I'm going to just sketch right on that face. So select that front face of our second extrude, bring it normal to you, go to your Sketch tab, select the rectangle icon again, and like before, make sure you're connected with your first point of reference to that bottom edge to save yourself time. That coincident relationship pops up. I'm then going to come up here and select my Smart Dimension icon. I'm going to Smart Dimension the length first, and it is 3 inches. And then I'm going to Smart Dimension my height, and it is 0.50, so ½ an inch. I'm going to slide my sketch over, and you can select the top or the bottom edge. I'm going to select the bottom edge this time, right click, hit that select midpoint, hold my control key down, hover my mouse over my new sketch, select that midpoint as well, double check that I only have the 2 points listed in my entities, and add in that vertical relationship, and then hit OK. So now that sketch is fully defined. This time I want you to go to your Features toolbar and go all the way over to the Extruded Cut. We want to cut away the material here. Hold the roller of your mouse down and double check that we are cutting into that part. If we change the direction and we're cutting out, nothing's going to happen because there's no material to cut away from. So you can change the direction by these arrows on the side under Direction 1, and it's going to reverse that. You want to be cutting into your part. However, because we want to control the depth of this cut, I'm going to change the Direction 1 from blind to up to surface. Then I'm going to select the front face of my base feature. That is going to allow that cut to go all the way to that front face. So if I rotate my model, you can see that we are not going all the way through our part, just to that front face of our base feature. And then I'm going to hit OK. Now you can see that material has been removed. Next, I'm going to create that cut here, that is that half of a circle. Because we have no material on the top of this part, it's going to be much easier for me to just sketch a circle, placing my midpoint on this top edge and cutting it through all. If I had material on the top and I only wanted the half circle, then I would have to create either a 3-point arc or a tangent arc, something different, so I had just a semicircle to cut through. So I'm going to select the front face of my third boss extrude, bring it normal to me, go to my Sketch tab, select that circle icon, and I'm going to hover my mouse over until I hit that midpoint, and I'm going to share the midpoint of that rectangle with my circle. So that coincident relationship pops up automatically, saves me time, and it also is going to allow me to use my Smart Dimension tool, select that edge, and give it the diameter of 1.60 and hit OK. Because I have that relationship in place and the circle is attached to that top edge and centered, I do not have to give this sketch my 2 placement dimensions that I normally would, just its overall size dimension, so it saves time. I'm then going to go over to the Features tab, go over to that Extruded Cut icon again, and I'm going to work from the top down where my direction 1 is going to change to through all, and then hit OK. You can now see that that top circle has been cut away. So next I'm going to create my fillets, because I know that I can't place my circles for that sketch unless the fillets are already created. So under your Features tab, because a fillet is an operational feature and you do not have to have a two-dimensional sketch for it, I'm going to select that fillet icon. Now, this is going to be applied directly to our model. So all we have to do is select the edges we want filleted. This has to be done in 2 steps because our top 2 edges are larger than these bottom 2 edges. But all your fillets that are the same size can be done in 1 step. So I'm just going to use the ruler on my mouse to zoom in. I'm going to select that top edge, zoom out, hold the ruler on my mouse down, zoom back in, select that second edge. If you are not seeing the yellow show up giving you that preview of the cut, go ahead and just click this full preview option. I'm then going to come down to my fillet parameters and change the size to 0.50. You're now going to see that preview, and I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to be applied. Now we can see that fillet pop up on our feature tree manager, but it does not have that fly out arrow because no sketch was needed. I'm going to do the same thing to these bottom 2 edges. So go back to your Features tab, over to your fillet icon, rotate your model, select both of those side edges on our lower boss extrude, and change the diameter to 0.25. If you create too large of a fillet, it will not allow you to apply it to your model because it will cut away too much material. Okay. Now, while we're already working with our fillets, let's go ahead and add in that chamfer. Just like the fillet, a 2D sketch does not need to be created for our chamfer. It is just applied directly to our model. So under your Features tab, go over to that fillet icon, but this time hit that drop down arrow and select your chamfer feature. We are only creating a chamfer on the front lip, so go ahead and select that edge. See the full preview so you can see where it's going to cut. Looking at the front view of my drawing, I can see that my dimension here is going to be 0.10, and it is going to be cut at 45 degrees. I'm going to hit OK. You can now see that chamfer beveled edge. So the last thing is we're going to create those 2 side circles. Since I want them applied directly on this face, I'm just going to select that face. You can select either side because it's the same face of our boss extrude. 1, and bring it normal to me. Then go to your Sketch tab, select your circle icon. Since both of these circles are the same size and are going to be cut the same depth, they can be done in the same sketch. So I'm going to just sketch both of them. I'm going to select both edges, so hold your Control key down, select both edges, and I'm going to add in an equals relationship. Hit OK. This is just going to allow me to select my Smart Dimension tool and only have to dimension one of them. So their dimension is 0.50, and then hit OK. You can see both of their sizes have changed. Now, your drawing does not give placement dimensions. Normally, to make this fully defined, we would need a horizontal dimension and a vertical dimension for its placement. It just gives us the note that this circle is concentric with our top arc. Recall that concentric means they're going to be sharing the same midpoint, so we'll have the same thickness of that material on both sides. So to do that, I'm going to select my circle edge, hold my Control key down, select that top filleted edge, and then I'm going to add in a concentric relationship and hit OK. You can now see that this right side circle is all black and fully defined. So go ahead and do that to the other side. Select your Filleted edge, hold your control key down, select the edge of your circle, add in that concentric relationship, and hit OK. Now that my sketches are fully defined, I can go to my features toolbar and go to that extruded cut icon. And because I have no material in the front or the back, I can just have it be cut through all and hit OK. So there is our finished part. If you have any questions, please let me know.